And wonderful Kate is in, and Doug is in, and Queen Kathy's in. Oh, all our friends are in. This is amazing.
Morning.
Good morning, Kate. Can't see anybody yet, but I see beautiful Donna has joined us. Oh, amazing, Donna. Good evening. I hope everything's fantastic with you. Doug's in. Oh, it's
Hi.
good to see you, Donna. That's legendary. Oh, and our favourite, the ambassador of Norfolk Island, has joined us. This is fantastic. And iPhone has joined us. I love it when an iPhone joins us. Hello to iPhone. And Kathy's in. Oh, Kathy, I've got your piece, my darling, piece. I got your wonderful document this week, so I'm so excited to read that on the weekend. That's amazing. And oh, and look at that for red. Look at how red and magnificent Megan looks. Oh my goodness, Maeve's in. Great. Good morning, Professor Quinton.
Morning.
How are you, darling one?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah,
Everyone?
too bad. This is exciting. Now, Lorraine, how are you going, my love?
Unmute myself. Yeah, really good. Thank you, Tara. Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you.
Because I feel like we neglected you desperately last week. So
Oh, no, it was nice just to sit and completely listen to everybody else. I got a lot from it.
oh, you're a superstar. Now, how are you going, though? So tell us fabulous things about you. So what's been happening in Lorraine world?
So I've done my first sweep of my participants' transcripts, which is good. Formulated some major themes, and I've got a meeting next Friday with 2 supervisors to sort of really start formulating chapters. So that's what I want to do from those themes. So I'm so excited. I've got them in my head, but I just want to run it past to make sure I'm on the right track.
And darling one, how are you feeling about that movement into chapters? What you've just captured there is actually something brilliant. You've got the data and then you're building them gently. I think people often go, oh, look, I'm writing a chapter, and yet you've got a different view. You're gathering a chapter.
Yes, and that thought process. So what to make it, because I never waste time. So yesterday I had a huge clear out, 2 big bags of papers from way back past, you know, that you never looked at. You haven't looked at them for 10 years. Do I really need these? So I'm spring dusting and cleaning out to make way for my mental space. Space.
Look, I'm a big fan, you know, even though Marie Kondo did that appalling thing about, you know, you only need 30 books in your house. Remember that nonsense? It's like, I've got 30 books on my nightstand. You know, my goodness me. But there is a thing about clutter and mental clutter and just cleaning. I mean, I clean the sink. So when I'm going, I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I'm gonna clean the sink. And then after you clean the sink, you go, I feel better with the universe now. You know, all the grunge is gone and the things you can't recognize. What's that thing? You're gone. So it's fantastic. But Lorraine, that's beautifully expressed. That's helping me a lot think about how we raise, how we build a chapter. Beautifully done. So colleagues, we're thrilled. Liam has joined us in the middle of the night. Donna has joined us in the middle of the night. It is exciting. Around the world, this is often called Ally Day too. So in digital office hours, we should acknowledge the fabulousness of Ally Day. So acknowledging gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, non-binary identifying colleagues. You are legendary. We love you. You know that. You're our people. And so today is the Ally Day, where those of us that sadly were born heterosexual and have gone on that journey. I don't know what Jamie's background is there, but who have gone on the heterosexual journey. This is the day where you forgive us for going on the heterosexual journey. And our job is to care for you. Should I just... Our iPhone's having a bit of a time, so I've just gently paused that for a second until iPhone gets sorted. Good morning, Adam, and Julie's in. So Adam, mate, great to see you, mate. How you going? Do you want to say hi?
Hi, Tara. I don't know if you remember or recognize the name. I was the one who requested vlog 194 about not feeling overwhelmed. And I have been keeping up with you ever since, and you have been such a terrific resource for the past few years.
Adam,
so just thank you in advance.
Oh, Adam, it's because I did recognize the name. I went, now, now I know, because it's such an unusual combination, the double A, I always recognize. So Adam, I thank you for that vlog suggestion. And of course, that was, that was a pretty complicated period of my life, that one. And that was a really good suggestion. And that changed, I think, in many ways, the direction of where the vlogs went from that point. So I hope it was useful, and I'm excited. That's fantastic. Yay. And so we're thrilled to see you, Adam. So Adam, what this is this is digital office hours. Basically, this is an opportunity for Kylie to explain why she should be Prime Minister of this nation and most nations. And of course, we bow to Kylie. And it's also, Adam, a bit of a time where we all express our love for Jane. And Megan perhaps captured this best about 4 weeks ago, where she said, everybody's just a little bit in love with Jane. And so this is a bit of every hour we go, have I told you, Jane, I'm just a little bit in love with you? And so it's a place where we acknowledge Jane. So that's great. I'm thrilled. So this is Digital Office Hours. So it's open for any sort of questions. I know Maeve always has a magic list of things to magically talk about. I always have a bit of a magic list just in case. But let's open the floor, as we always do, Maeve. Oh, and Doug is straight in. So, we'll all, if I can't answer it, and mostly I can't because I'm a bit of an idiot, we can all answer it together. So, Doug, straight in there, brother. Let's do this. Come on.
It's not a question. It's more of a something I've noticed. This is the first time I've seen you in colour.
Yes, well, because it is
no black.
No black, because it is Ally Day, and I don't have any purple because I'm living basically out of two luggage things. I want to acknowledge a bit of colour, a bit of sort of the rainbow, But of course, when a goth does rainbow, I end up in a dark green. That's a bit intense. But it's me trying to be part of the rainbow happiness. So yes, and green's not really my colour, but I thought it's important to acknowledge the difference and the importance and the fabulousness of the day. So thank you, Doug, for noticing the green. I look probably a bit paler and sicker than normal too, but still, that was my intent. That was my good on you, Doug. And I'll be seeing Doug on Monday too. That's legendary. Now, Maeve, are you straight in, Queen Maeve?
Yes, I have one more on the list, and then I'll have to do a new list. So, and just notice I have the traditional black still on. Yeah. Okay, the last in my numerous list A was, how do we put soft skills into an academic CV?
Yeah.
Or can we? Because the ones I've seen as a template don't have it.
No, that's exactly right. And Liam, we might talk about this with you and I too, because obviously we were both very influenced by Steve Redhead's CV. And I've had pretty well the same template of a CV since I was 22. So the academic CV, the traditional academic CV, Maeve, is very much first page is the biography. So it's the page who you are, what you've done. And then it very much depends in one's career. Early in one's career, sort of the qualifications are there, and then the teaching that you've done, the granularity of the subjects that you've taught and so forth, and your functions. And then the research is the second half, often with grants, but also I specified books, book chapters, refereed articles, conference papers, and so forth. And what happens, Maeve, is about halfway through your career, or maybe earlier for Liam may have already done it, you move the research first. So at a certain point of your career, and isn't that tragic in and of itself, that the research then becomes the determinant to get the academic job, and the teaching is nice and that's great and it pays the bills, but you get the job from research. So so Liam, do you want to speak before we get to soft skills? Where are you on this, Liam, and the academic CV, brother?
I've seen, so the examples that you and Steve provided, like the CV was quite lengthy, whereas in the UK now they've gone towards like a very truncated academic CV. It's like a page, 2 pages. You can write to apply for a job. I've seen some which have said we just want a 2-page narrative CV. And I'm like, a narrative CV? I'm like, okay, what kind of narrative are we adding to that? Like, so yeah, my CV as it stands, like it is exactly as Tara describes it. Like the research and the money is the first point. And it's quite sad really, because I don't feel like I can explain about myself, and what I give and what I do, and all those kind of things. Yeah, it's got like the income catcher and also some publications. And then that seems to what stands out. And then I was advised recently at a meeting when I gained funding at my current institution. Just stop with the chatter, the chatter, they call it chatter, where I was saying, like I'm a decent human being, blah, 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 blah.
Because obviously
they
that's
didn't
not crucially important. No, but isn't that interesting?
No.
My bias, and we all have biases, right? We all have biases, and my bias is often I don't put prose into a CV. So you've got your first page of the biography, and then it is books. Thanks for playing. Teaching, thanks for playing. High degree supervision, thanks for playing, right? Now, Liam, I'm horrified that they're starting to do this 2-page nonsense, and they've nicked that, of course, from the corporate world. And why that doesn't work for us is if we were to list our articles, they're longer than 2 pages. So, I think my articles, there's 250 of them. So what are they suggesting? That I not be transparent and demonstrate research integrity and actually show my publication. So it gets complicated. Go, Liam, again, darling.
Yeah, so I applied for a job before I got my next job that I start next week.
I know.
But when I know, woo, exciting. But yeah, I applied for a job at an institute where I'd worked before, and they changed the application process to this 2-page stuff. And I was like, I had an informal conversation with the recruiter from the HR. And they were like, oh yeah, 2-page maximum, less you won't get shortlisted. And it was, you had to synchronize academic administration, research, and teaching into 2 pages. That was nigh on impossible. So I got it down to 2.5 pages, and I wasn't even shortlisted. Because I'd gone over the 2 pages. So I was automatically.
Yeah. So you end up with stupid things like, 20 books, 250 refereed articles, taught 58 courses. If that's what they want, that's what they get. It gives them no information at all. And that suggests to me, and we might get to Jamie in a second too, that suggests to me they're cutting the field up in a particular way. I think we talked about Phil down the corridor a few weeks ago. And if they're saying everybody give us 2 pages, well, they might really be enjoying Phil's 2 pages and they're not too bothered with everybody else's.
Yeah, but I do have to say it massively varies. So for my last 2 jobs, it's been make it as long as you want. Like there's 7 questions, and you can submit a Microsoft Word document, and you can chat on and on and on till the cows come home. And that's what I kind of did. But I don't know whether I'm going to have to change my strategy. As my career progresses.
It depends on, as you've rightly said, each institution. And as the wonderful Julie's just said there, Australia has its own very weird little microclimate whereby, as you said, if it's over 2 pages in that particular system, they went, bye, Felicia. In Australia, they go, we have the selection criteria. And if you don't address the selection criteria, you are not shortlisted. And of course, often the selection criteria is bonkers stuff like, can you manage a dishwasher? Are you able to facilitate world peace? So it's crazy stuff. And unless you address that criteria, then you're not shortlisted. So this is all arbitrary. And that's, I think, the point of what we want to say to our Maeve is a lot of this stuff is folklore, academic folklore. This is how you do a CV. And it's homology. We just endlessly go on and pretend that this story that we tell ourselves about academic CVs has always existed and will always exist. It's not the case. But Maeve, what I do is I tend to do just the facts, ma'am, in the CV. And if people are interested, they can go there. But for you, in terms of soft skills, which I think is a crucial corrective for the planet and our universities, is I would do that on alternative media platforms. So I would activate storying and demonstrate the skills through podcasts, through short stories, through social media engagement. So in academic life, I would perform those skills and then on the CV, link to those media platforms. That's how I would do it.
I appreciate that. If you don't mind my having a little response, because I don't know about all that, you know, and I appreciate Liam and Jamie's comments there. But what I did was, because so much of my work is Nitro's non-traditional research outputs, I thought, well, if anyone wants to have any clue what I'm capable of, dissemination is, you know, the game, so to speak. And so I put in a section which wasn't in anyone's template. I just thought, yeah, that's most of my work. Not all of my work, but, you know, that's a big chunk of my work. So I just put in a section called it non-traditional research outputs. And then I did more or less what you said. And to be honest, in my case, that's actually the bulk of what I'm saying I've done.
I think that's spot on. I think Nitros, those colleagues that haven't quite come across Nitros, it's non-traditional research outputs or objects, depending on your system. So films, videos, podcasts, poems, all that type of really rich material. And we're now working very hard in our universities to try and create an equivalence between these remarkable research outputs and the traditional book, refereed article, and so forth. So, Liam, as you know, in the RAE and the REF, there was a capacity to enter these types of non-traditional, they weren't called Nitros, but non-traditional research outputs with about, I think, 20 exegetical words about the output. So that meant musicians could enter their material. So, for example, Stephen Mallender, the legend from Cabaret Voltaire, etc., was entered at Brighton in our RAE and entered particular sound lab work, and we provided some exegetical content, and he did very well. But Maeve, that's exactly right. You have a Nitro section, and I'd almost do it by platform, Maeve. So if it's blogs,
Okay.
if it's short stories, I would get it granular, podcasting, and do that.
I think I somewhat headed in that direction, but I think I could. Well, I had creative publishing, I had poetry publishing, and then I had all the kind of work that you do, where I'm, you know, by your grace, I participate, and I shot in. That wasn't too much. I'm sure it wasn't. And I shot in a reading group, and, you know, these are all things that I've participated in, and you know, we're privileged to have all our academic people from all around the world participate. So that's international scholarship in that moment, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And I think that's absolutely brilliant, Maeve. So you keep doing that. It's the right thing to do. And as I said, the only thing about those soft skills is, in academic life, I would perform them through objects rather than do those truly yucky CV or resume things, Liam, where someone goes, I'm honest, I'm a hard worker, I get on well with other people. You know, I don't want to kill people on a daily basis. You know, so they're soft. What was that, Jamie? Oh, you think I do? Sorry, Jamie?
I said not during the probation period anyway.
Not during the probation period. Anyway, oh, Jamie, you're funny. But I mean, I despise that sort of stuff. It's like, because everybody goes, look, I'm hardworking and I'm kind, and, you know, and are you though? Are you though?
Or they take it the other way, Tara. They take it, so it's like, write a philosophy. And it's like, well, you know, it's a bit Björk, you know, it's a bit kind of interpretive, you know, and where are you meant to go with that? Write a philosophy.
Oh, it's crazy. And look, teaching philosophy is a thing, supervisory philosophy is a thing.
Yeah.
But Jamie, I think our current favourite stuff, and obviously we've, you know, recently moved jobs, the pair of us, but my personal favourite stuff is when they ask you to do a bloody vision statement. You got any views on vision statements, Jamie?
I don't know what to say about that. You can claim you can be whoever you want to be in such a document, right? So there's no secret that I'm trying to get back to Australia. So I'm sort of going through this process and updating my CV at the moment. And I've certainly been on plenty of appointment panels in my life. And I have a question for Liam. So in the chat, I said, it sounds like a resume rather than a CV, right? So is it an executive summary that they're looking for, because they're basically too lazy to read your CV, right? I promise you, my CV is pretty decent, but and it's at around 43 pages or something. But Tara's is about twice the length of mine. And if you're going through lots of these, I guess people are lazy, right? They don't want to read everything, but depends on the role, I guess, right? If I'm appointing an academic position, I want to know everything I can about the candidates, and I want to be able to check. But an executive summary, and like I'm thinking maybe I should create an executive summary at the start of my CV, so if people are lazy, they can see it, and then they can read the details in the other 40 pages if they want. And I think that might be a good compromise. And then if people say, I want 2 pages, you give them the 2 pages.
Well, this is a trade-off that I've done. So I've got the 7-pager and the 2-pager, and I kind of switch between the two. So they are calling it a CV, and like for a lot of assistant professorships that I've applied for, lecturer jobs, lecturer B jobs, B lecturer jobs, I get them all mixed up what the gradings are internationally. But yeah, just for a permanent lectureship, which I'm currently in, it's like most of them have asked for like a 2-page, and they call it a CV, but it is like a summary. And then it was rationalized as, oh, they'll ask you the questions in the interview if they want to know more about X, Y, and Z. They never do, of course. However, that's the kind of rationale that they're giving.
I want to give you an example, Liam. So a lot of my background has been through teaching and learning leadership, right? And I applied for a head of school role in Australia a few years back. And when I wrote the response to the criteria, I was focused on the leadership and the staff and the requirements that I was told that they were looking for going into the role, right? And it was all about staff and culture in the staffing. And then when I wasn't shortlisted, I got feedback that said, oh, you weren't student oriented enough. And I thought, if you looked at my CV, you would see that it's in my teaching philosophy, it's in my research philosophy, it's riddled with student related stuff, right? And so they didn't see it, and they found an excuse, and they slammed it because of that, right?
Yeah.
What troubles me with this executive summary thing is you can be slammed for things that you're not saying. And so, and it's their lack of want to look for it, you know?
And look, we're going to go to Julie and Julie's remarkable expertise in a second. But Liam, why I'm so devastated about that is some of the best practice in the world I ever saw on appointment was in the United Kingdom, where they respected the CV. So, you know, and remember, this is 10 years ago now, Liam, when I was in England, is that you'd be applying for jobs and you would give them the full CV, and you try and they wanted a shorter cover letter than what we would have in North America or in Australia. So short cover letter, but CV. And when I asked a very senior person, I think he was a vice chancellor, oh, that's an interesting mix. Why have you decided that you want a short cover letter, no position description or anything but the CV? And he went, Tara, I can read a CV. I know what I'm after, and I know what I'm looking for in a CV. And you sort of love that. I think that's confidence, but it's also, I can read a CV. You show me exactly who you are, and I will spend time and respect that CV. And it's interesting that now it's sort of gone to the other extreme. Give us a 2-pager, hope for the best.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a good example, a recent example before we get to Julie was and it's an example of what's going on in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I applied for a job at the Vic in New Zealand, Tara's former stomping ground. I didn't get shortlisted, unfortunately, because I wasn't at the point in my career where I needed to be to get shortlisted for that job. But the head of school had a lovely conversation with me about like what I can do to develop, you know, in terms of if I'm looking for a job in that side of the world, which was great. And that's possibly some of the best feedback I've had so far.
Oh, Liam, I love it when academics do that. In our sort of neoliberal nightmare of universities at the moment, we so rarely take a pause, take the time, respect another human, and have what can be quite a difficult conversation. They're hard to do, but they're precious for the human being. I know Steve used to do these all the time. He used to get the job where he would be telling the people that weren't successful, and he would clear half an hour a person. And there are people that have gone on to full professorships and now say, actually, it was the conversation I had with Steve when they were unsuccessful on a job that explained what they needed to do to be successful. So I'm so glad that human being at the Vic did that for you, Liam. It's archetypal. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now let's go to Julie, who has had multiple lives, and this is one of them. So Julie, share your fabulousness with us.
So I worked at an executive level. So it's like, you know, with senior boards and leadership. So it's slightly niche, but just to Liam, there's a woman at, I think she's either at Canberra or ANU, and she goes under the name the Thesis Whisperer. And she, together with colleagues, has done a lot of research on academic recruitment. And often it's cruel, but some of those jobs, they know who they want, but they just have to go through the process. So I would go through some of her stuff and just see if there are any tidbits there. But there will, you know, if it's in the hands of a recruiter, you've got to hope that it's in the hands of someone who's got a little bit of experience and they're not, you know, 20 and just looking for words, because some of them do just search for words, which is cruel also. But you do need to be able to have a resume. They call it a CV, and you do need to be able to respond to what they're looking for. And as I said, I would do it in a cover letter so that you keep your CV short and punchy. It's your communication tool. It's your marketing tool. It's your brand, whatever you want to call it in, you know, in corporate jingo. But that's what you've actually got to go. You've got to think, you know, if I read this, what would I see in it? And if you've got any connections in that university or that arena, I would use them to the full extent. If you know you've got strong referees, I'd put them in even before they're asked. Obviously, you need to ask them, you know, will you be my referee? And you need to be sure they're going to be a good referee. But I would drop names like crazy at that level, because if you're not able to go to the source of the person who's actually going to work with you, you are, you know, you've got to create a hook that gets you into the shortlist, basically, or into a short, long interview, whatever they call it.
Now, Julie, that was phenomenal advice, can I say? Everyone's just nodding and going, oh, my goodness me, that's changed my life. The only sadness I've got, Julie, and look, I'm an old-fashioned academic, and that's why I'm close to death, right? That's why people like me need to finish our academic career soon, because I'm terrible. I don't want an academic CV to look like a CV in corporate banking or in the mining industry. I want our CVs to be different, to be scholarly, to have the books and the articles and all the rest of it that people can click and see and verify. And when we strip the scholarship away from scholars, I do think we are all cheapened as scholars. But I know, you know, universities have now become these corporatized things, but it is a shame. It does break my heart, but I'm just old and haggard. But instead of going old and haggard, should we go to glamorous and magnificent Ian? Good morning, Ian. Oh, sound, Angel. Yeah.
Got my sound on. Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Better for seeing you, superstar.
Thank you. Everyone's looking great. Nice just to have so many people in the group today. I just wanted to, I have a question for Liam, actually. And it was just, I was just wondering, when you mentioned that you'd had a conversation with the HOD at Vic, if you had contacted the person and asked for feedback, or if you had, like, how that conversation sort of happened. I think that would be helpful to know, because I'm a bit, you know, not shy, but and sometimes in a little bit of push to do things, to sort of reach out. So I just wondered how you did it. Yeah.
So we asked, you could have a fun informal conversation. It was an academic who used to be at Manchester Metropolitan University with Steve. Actually, they were supervised by Steve in MIPC, and they're now head of criminology at the Vic. Fiona. So we had a conversation. I know. And she's you know, lived in Manchester for years, and like before she moved to New Zealand, and she'd made the move herself. And I was kind of wondering like what it was like as like an expat, like what it would be like to move to that side of the world, you know, first of all, because it's a big move. And you know, just kind of like scoping some advice. And, you know, even though it was a rejection, it was so many golden nuggets about what I could do. And just basically, you know, how are things over in the UK? And that was a nice conversation to facilitate. So yeah, but we had that kind of nostalgia in a way about Manchester, which was a strange bonding point. And we've been at the same institution at separate periods, separate decades. So yeah, and Tara's smiling away, knows who that person is.
But can I say, Ian, isn't that a great example of, we've learnt from Liam and Julie. So Julie talked about egging up those professional and personal connections and relationships, and that's the wedge in. But Ian, how are you feeling? Because obviously you've had that issue in the UK. Would you like to communicate with somebody on that panel to get some feedback? Is that where we're at, Ian?
I've been thinking about it, but I haven't reached out yet. And I did get brief feedback, which, you know, in my rejection email, bit of an unfortunate term, but I mean, they did, that was from the head of department actually. And she gave me a few lines, you know, which really helped me. So I just thought, yeah, maybe, you know, maybe I should just reach out and, you know, see if there's anything.
Ian, I would. I mean, get everybody.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing to lose. They might go, oh, look, if they are just frantic and busy and they go, look, Ian, we gave you the best feedback we could, then you take that as a no. But most human beings, if you're honest and authentic and you're trying to actually enable a career, people give you 30 minutes because they want to care for you.
Yeah. And I also heard Liam mentioning that, you know, Liam, that you'd been talking to HR departments and getting information about what kind of CV formats they were looking for, and which I hadn't thought to do really until you mentioned it. But that actually also seems like a really important thing to do, to find out, you know, what they're looking for, so you can try and get on that short list.
I tell you what, is everybody else sort of pretty bloody impressed by this conversation? I had no idea we'd go here. I've learned a stack. Here. And I just want to quickly click into Megan too, because obviously, Megan, you've got sort of the coaching mindset work that the rest of us don't have as well. Any advice for Ian and getting ourselves into that sort of mindset to do something which can really cut you to the quick, because it's so personal and it's so professional and can be so debilitating?
Okay, so I coach all of my people to stand in front of the mirror and to act as though they have more front tooth than a rat. So they imagine that the mirror is giving them really negative feedback, and they smile and they say, thanks for that. And then they turn around and do the exact opposite. So what somebody else thinks of you is not your business, Ian. What you think of you is absolutely your business. And we all love you. Like, we're all turning up wanting to interact with you. We are your mirror. We are your feedback. And Liam, you're bloody brilliant as well. Everybody that gives up their time to come to these and speak, knowing that it's going to be online, you guys are doing really well. You're fantastic. So congratulations to you. Accept the good feedback. Our brains are trained to receive negative feedback, and that then we marinate in that negative feedback. We ruminate on it. It goes around and around and around. But you've got to remember, it's impossible to have a positive and a negative thought at the same time. So every time you have a negative thought, throw in something positive. And remember things that people from this group have said to you. Marinate and ruminate on that.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Does anybody else feel different? I feel different. Sarah, where are you, Sarah? I'm ready to go run the Northern Territory now. How are you feeling, Sarah?
I'm with you.
You and I together, we will sort the Northern Territory out, Sarah.
Marinate and ruminate. What great advice. And I'm also, because I've been mostly listening, but there's been a worrisome student that I'm trying to look after while I'm listening to this. And she is definitely of the ruminating ilk, when she's very worried about all sorts of things that are coming up and may not even happen. But she's not the only one. And I love the fact that Megan said to flip it.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's absolutely incredible. And also, I mean, my old line has always been, Megan's much wiser than I am, but my line has always been control what you can control. And when you do that, you sort of realize probably how very little of life you can control, but the bits you have got control over, bloody hell, you got to give that a good go. Yeah. Oh, just I'm feeling amazing. Kylie, how are you feeling, Kylie?
Really good. I think it's the biggest thing that I know. I'll lay at bed 2 o'clock in the morning, replaying things again and again and again and again. And you've just got to, as you said, you've got to start to think, what can I control? And I can't control those things, so it doesn't matter. Or I don't really respect those people that might have told me that, so that doesn't matter. Take it from the people you respect and that matter.
Oh, see, I agree with that. And also, Carl, something that changed my life is I used to be that sort of person. And then I read something somewhere, and I wish I could cite it. I will find it again. But I read somewhere where someone said, if you won't remember this bad thing in 5 years, why are you remembering it in 5 minutes? So if this thing that you think is so catastrophic in the present, you won't even remember this person's name or the situation in 5 years' time, why don't you mentally do that now? And I often call it the windshield wipers. Those say, I'm a bit obsessed by it. So what I do to clear, when I go, oh no, and I just force myself to go, okay, mental window washer, woof, 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 gone, clear.
You could do the old, bring in the old bit of Tay-Tay, the shake it off.
And then after you've done that, and
Thanks, Maeve.
then you can actually see. So it's
whatever.
Yeah, nah. Beautiful Gay's talking to us. Good morning, Queen Gay.
Good morning, Tara. I wanted to say that I tell my coaching clients when they are wallowing to ask themselves, is this going to matter in 5 years' time? And if it doesn't, stop wallowing.
Yeah. And that's great because it's the temporal test. So it's like, well, don't therefore spend the next hour worrying about it. Like, let this damn thing go. So beautifully said, Gay. Unbelievable. Now, we see two of my favorite people in the universe. I mean, besides beautiful Kate, because Kate runs our lives, but Eunice and Sue are both in, and I'm getting quite emotional about that, to see you both. I owe Sue a couple of emails at the moment too, so Sue, we'll talk about that. But Eunice, darling one, how are you? Tell us fabulous things, and we need to be talking about your book and so forth at some point, don't we, Eunice? Sound angel, sound beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. It's lovely to be back with everybody. Sorry, I've missed a few weeks. I had some surgery a few weeks ago, but all good as new now. So I'm back on deck, and yeah, it's great to be back. Kate has sort of kept me in the loop of terrible things that I've missed because there's been so much information back and forth. I mean, it's incredible the amount I've missed in just a few weeks, but I'm endeavouring to start to catch up now. And yeah, I mean, the actual, I still have people saying to me that I haven't seen for a while, wow, how does it feel now? That it's, but honestly, it almost, I guess because life just takes over and so many other things have happened in the interim, it becomes a distant past. And I think that's really important, what you were just saying about, is this going to matter? It's like, any of you that have kids, like, they want a particular, my little grandson at the moment wants his hair cut exactly like his dad's. Well, it's not really appropriate for a 5-year-old, but I said to my daughter, honestly, it'll grow back. It's not going to matter in 10 years' time. Let him have it. If that's what it's not worth the stress. And I remember going through those stressful times when my kids were little, that I wanted them to wear the pretty dress, to go to preschool. They wanted to wear shorts and a T-shirt, No, I was still in the little, pin tuck embroidered little dresses stages, and I didn't want that to go, but no, they wanted to move on. it doesn't matter. And I think of the stress it caused by wanting them to look pretty wasn't worth it. And it's the same with these kind of things you're talking about. You know, yes, we put in for these jobs, and from the little bit of experience I've had at university over the last 20 years, most of the jobs are already spoken for anyway, but they have to go through the process of it externally advertising, when in actual fact they've already decided who they wanted, who's already on board. It's a terrible situation. I hate it. Absolutely terrible situation.
And as Julie said in the message there too, it's often a lottery. It's just the right, it's like a plug in a slot in some ways. It's just if they accidentally see your plug and it accidentally happens to fit, it's luck, not having an inside track, and just bang, in you go. So phenomenal advice there, Eunice. Now, tell us about you, because I'm not nagging you, but I am desperate. I am desperate for this thesis to become a book. So how are you feeling? I wanted to let everything settle and calm the farm. Kate, thank you for putting added pressure on her. That's tremendous. Keep the pressure going, Kate. So Eunice, where are we now on that journey?
Well, to be honest, I haven't done anything with that. I'm ashamed to say I probably in my recovery time could have looked at different sections and thought, what can we do? But yeah, your mind's just not there. So yeah, it's on the to-do list now. So how I go about that, I don't know.
Well, so Eunice, darling one, are you at the point now in the recovery? Because obviously it was pretty big, important surgery, Eunice. So
honestly, I'm fine. I'm fine now.
But if your former supervisor sent you 5 or 6 book what book proposals look like with headings, would you have a go at doing something under those headings?
Absolutely fabulous, because I think that's part of the that's often been my problem, is getting started. Once I get started, I mean, you can't shut me up, but you know, just knowing, okay, how do you do this? I don't know. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Eunice, let's do that. So I'll send those to you over the weekend, and we'll get that party started, have a look and decide what suits you. And as I said, Springer Public Health will grab that book but before it actually hits their inbox. So unbelievable. So that's great, Eunice. We need to go to Julie about post and interdisciplinarity. We'll go there, but I just want to check in on Queen Sue. Hello, beautiful Sue.
Hello, how are you?
Better to see you now. Now, how are you feeling? How's everything going for you, darling one?
Yeah, very, very well, I think. It's slow coming back together. People don't know, but I lost my speech for a while, but I could still think and I could see things in my mind, but they weren't coming out. Thankfully, I've got my speech back. Sometimes it isn't as good as it was, but it's getting there. And my research has been about babies' hips and regional medicine. And my PhD was on that. And like Eunice, I've dreamt about publishing small books and big books and turning my thesis into part of a book, etc. Yes. And I'd be very interested in your thoughts on that as well. But my mind has clarified about the way that we are talking about babies' hips and assessing them and everything, and we're talking about the movement in a new baby's hip as a part of development, instead of everybody's focused on the fact that dysplasia of the hip, but I'm wanting people to be focused on how the hip's moving when the baby's born. Yes. And how that's going to impact the development of the hip. So I've been looking at a lot of embryology and a lot of bone growth and things like that. And I've got a lot of stuff on my computer that I've half written, yes. Which drives me crazy. And a lot of it was written before I had my strokes, some of it's been written since. But what's been the turning point for me is that I'm going to change my computer, which I've been using a MacBook Air, and I'm going to change my computer to a desktop with a bigger screen because my eyesight is a problem to me as well. And so I'm going through everything on my current computer and trying to work out what I want and what I don't want anymore, and put a lot of it away and only put the good stuff on the new computer.
Well, see, this is great, Sue. So what if we as a family, I send, because Eunice and Sue haven't really met. You've seen each other, I think, a couple of times online, but you two are very precious people to me. What if I send you both through the weekend, because I've got both your private emails and you've got my private emails. I'll send you the book proposal templates, and we can then, as a family in Digital Office Hours next week, if colleagues are happy, we can actually talk about how we get a book proposal up and about, if that's useful for colleagues. So we'll use Eunice and Sue as our, I won't say lab rat, I will say our very, very glamorous humans that are moving us forward. And of course, Sue, if you've got those half articles that you think your old mate could write the other half like the old days, we can get the band back together, Sue. So when you're doing that work, if you think there's a Brabazon half to be written, you just send that to me and I'll have a good go, all right? We'll get the band back together.
I really appreciate that, because there's one that I've got that really is needing your expertise to sort of bring it to the boil, I think.
Yeah, because that's what I do. I boil stuff. And as Jamie Quinton knows, because he used to eat my food, I generally boil it so it loses all taste. But no, Sue, let's do that. I'll send the book proposals to you. You send me the half that you think is useful, and I'm very, very happy to do that. You're very precious to me, and it'd be lovely to have sort of Eunice and Sue working together. We can all work with them to help everybody else as well to get those books up and at them. Now, Julie's there. Can I go quickly to Kate? Wanted to just offer a comment, I think, to Eunice and to Sue, and then we're straight to Julie. Kate, what did you want to say, my
I was going to say, could I please have the book proposals as well, or I'll get Eunice to send it to me?
Yes.
Forward on.
Yes, we can. So let's do that. So my 3 favorite women in the universe. It is lucky I'm married, can I say? I know it's Ally Day. It's lucky I'm married, because I would marry one of you 3 tomorrow. And Jamie knows it. He's come to reconcile himself with that truth, haven't you, Jamie? Thank you, Jamie.
Sorry, I can't go there. No disrespect to anyone else, but it's just not me.
No, that's right. You're post-marriage, and I do understand that, Kate. You are legendary.
Very divorced.
Kylie, there's another T-shirt slogan. Very divorced.
Long time ago.
Very.
Yeah, the only males I want to sleep with are my baby grandsons.
Right, and not remotely in that way, Kate. My goodness me, no, in a lovely, kind, nurturing, grandmotherly way.
Yes, love them.
You lead me astray, Kate. You always do. Oh, you superstar. Yes, so my 3 favorite women. I'll sort that out for you. Now, Queen.
Can I say one more quick thing that I'm worried about? A fortnight ago, when I had the letter from the Dean with the congratulations sparkles all over the screen, I thought that was it. I thought I'd finished my PhD and it was accepted. It's not. I spoke to Luke, I think his name is Luke, yesterday to say, how do I get my thesis printed? I want soft copy and hard copy and blah, blah. No, I've got loads of stuff to do. And he said they haven't received your comments on that final little document we did about
I read the letter from the Dean saying it had been accepted, and
I know they're telling me it hasn't.
I'll sort that out as the former Dean, and I tend to, no university can have 2 popes. You can only have 1 pope. But as the former pope, I will, because obviously that's all been signed off. The Dean wrote you a letter saying congratulations.
Yes, I'd be waving that letter around. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, it had literally congratulations, sparkles all over the screen. And I phoned Eunice. I said, I've done it. I've finished. No, I haven't.
Yeah, no, I'll sort that
Thank
out in a kind, nurturing way, Kate. The kind
you.
person that I am.
But this might be helpful for everyone when they're ready to submit. Luke, the chap in the office at Flinders, told me that loads of people mistake that letter for the final, you've got it. And he said, no, I think it's the way it's written. It needs to say, look, you're not quite ready yet. You've done everything, but we have to do X, Y, and Z.
I think something's gone wrong there, darling one, because it actually said, that letter said, congratulations, your thesis is now completed.
Yes.
And congratulations on behalf of the university.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's fine. I'll sort that out for you this afternoon, Kate.
Thank you very much. Love you.
I love you more.
It's interesting. Sorry. It's interesting because from what Kate and I have discussed, the letter she received, I mean, I've been sending her and going through the kinds of steps I've been sent from the university, and mine were completely different to hers. And yet it still gave the impression it was finished. So we kept saying maybe it's because mine was a standard thesis, hers was a PPP. Maybe that's where the difference was.
Identical process, but obviously, I have enormous respect for Flinders. I still have a wonderful professorial role there, so I will use some of that magical influence to work out what is occurring. But yes, it is very, very important. Love you, Kate. It's very, very important that people are very clear on the process, and so we spend, Sarah, a lot of time in our office at CDU making sure everybody is clear. This is what has to happen. So the students know, the supervisors know, everybody knows, and there's no back deals, or it's stressful enough, Sarah.
It's such a difference, I can tell. I see it.
You are the best.
You've got a lot of lovely team though. They're all fans.
I do. I love my people. I love my people. And Doug is going to meet my favorite person, my sister from another mister, Fiona Steele, who is our manager of higher degrees at CDU. She is legendary. She's my mate. She's my friend. And so we move around the campus, Sarah, as Brabazon Steele. We are one person.
Fiona.
Our Fee Steele.
That's my mummy friend. We're besties. Small world.
Fight you. I'll fight you for her. I will fight you for her.
Can't we both have her?
Okay. And the trouble is, you saw her first too, so I can't even. Oh, it's sad. I love that one. But so we're doing a live gig on Monday. The first event of Brabazon Steele talking about higher degrees at CDU. So it's very exciting. I'm excited. Now, yes, I know, Sarah. I know it's going to be brilliant. But let's go to Liam and then let's go to Queen Julie. Poor Julie's been waiting for this, but Liam, talk to us, darling. Is this about the book and the cluster and things, or something else?
I was just saying about the certificate. I was going to write it in the chat. It could get held up by a variety of things. In the UK last year, my certificate got held up by industrial action. It got a bit clogged in the system with the backlog. But yeah, and we absolutely respect that as well for reasons why that had to go ahead. But yeah, that's something that nearly happened to me, and I very nearly lost out on a job offer. But I think that things can be expedited quite quicker. Yeah, and depending on staff turnover as well, with the multiple recasts of staff, and yeah.
Yes, I'll handle that, Kate. I'll be very gentle. As the former Pope, I will be very gentle. Queen Julie, now where are we? What's the interest on post-inter and disciplinary? Let's do this, Jules.
I just wanted a quick question to Sue. Does the hip dysplasia start in the birthing process, or it's post that?
No, all babies' hips have some movement, but they can have too much movement, and the hip's still developing. So the cup of the hip is only a saucer at birth, but it closes around the head of the femur and makes a very strong joint, which has to weight bear people for the rest of their lives. If there's too much movement in it, that saucer doesn't close up so well, and so it can dislocate, or it can just move too much. And if it moves too much, then these people are the people who have early hip replacements in their 40s and 50s because the joint's worn out. and we can identify that at birth. And it could make an enormous difference, but people won't listen to it because we've always done it differently, and we're going to continue to do it differently. And I think that's not how it should be.
And those of you that are interested in Sue's work, Dr. Sue Charlton, and you've got the spelling, her thesis is available online and free. If you put in Sue Charlton and HIP even, you'll get all her fantastic work. But if you put in Sue Charlton, HIP and Flinders, you'll see her remarkable PhD thesis, which I can recommend to you that examiners absolutely loved. And it is brilliant research. It's internationally transformative research. And I just had the privilege to supervise Sue, and it's one of the great gifts of my life. Seriously, amazing. But Julie, it's worth reading. It's amazing. So Jules, was there a post-interdisciplinary question that we'll finish off with for the day? Or sound, Angel?
Yes, I'm curious about how you go about thinking about what examiners you want if you're in a post or multi or inter or transdisciplinary, if your work is that way inclined. How do you think about them? Do you think about people who would think in similar ways? How do you show the depth of your knowledge if it's across so many disciplines?
Yes. So, Julie, they're the toughest theses to supervise. They're the toughest theses to write. They're the toughest theses to examine. They're the toughest theses for deans to administer, because they do have a lot of what we call split decisions. So 1, 2, 3, straight through, minor correction, major correction, but they can go down to a 4, which is a revise and resubmit. We have to go into the situation knowing that no single examiner can assess the whole lot, and try and get examiners that have a fair amount of coverage. So work out, and this is particularly what I do when I'm using wonderful UK colleagues, is I look for people's degrees, so what they did their degree in as an examiner, but I also look at their minors, their secondary degrees, their experiences. So we try to find examiners that are covering as much of the field as possible, but we also make sure that of the 2 or 3 examiners, the whole thesis is covered. The other thing I would say to you, too, Jules, is this is where you're really looking at, we have a phrase in the business called the examiner has an affinity with the thesis, right? Has an affinity with the thesis. And that means, you know, it's say it's a Marxist thesis and someone votes for Donald Trump. Right now, that person is not an affinity with that thesis, right? So, and particularly when you're dealing with Marxism, are they an Althusserian Marxist? Are they Lacanian? So it's about making sure you got to do the deep dive, much deeper than you would normally do in a disciplinary thesis, and look for examiners and their particular affinities and biases. Theoretically, in particular, Julie, the mistake that people make when they're picking examiners for these type of theses is they focus on methodology, and methodology ain't the deal breaker. Epistemology is the deal breaker. So you've got to go deep into their quals, deep into their publications, and try and find that very granular match. And it takes a lot of time and it's risky, but if you get it right, examiners lose their mind because they acknowledge the hard yak that the student's gone through. Does that help, Julie?
Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you.
But it's tough. It is absolutely tough. Kyle, straight in, Kyle's.
Can I just jump in? Maeve sent through a link to your meeting that you're doing Monday, and I've just, so it's on the screen, it's recorded because I think we lose the chat. I've just put it as my name, so if anyone wants to hook in on Monday.
Because I just went, yeah, so Kylie's just become, you know, the artist formerly known as Prince, now become a symbol. Kylie, thank you for doing that. So as we're about to finish off, so a lot of colleagues moving into the university are transferring. A lot of people are thinking about coming to CDU. And of course, all I care about is people find their home and find a great university that suits them. But on Monday, yes, Brabazon Steel, the band is having its first outing publicly. And so we'll talk about, but also we'll talk about anything too. You want to do a PhD? You don't want to do a PhD? Do you want to do a master's degree? What's the difference? How are they examined? How are they assessed? What does it involve? So it's that sort of gig. So colleagues, I thank you so much. Again, every week is different. Megan, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Every single week of these digital office hours is different.
It's wonderful. I love it.
It's unbelievable. And Jane, we all still love you just a little bit, maybe just a little bit more. And I'll see a lot of you as we move into Right Club. Lovely to see Eunice. Lovely to see Sue. You are all very, very loved, and you change my life every single day. See you on the other side. Donna, sleep well, my angel. Liam, sleep well. Much love.